Okay, I think we should start. We just okay, we will start. Om Badram Karne Bishuniyama Devaha Badram Pashye Makshabiryajatraha Sthirairangai Tuštuvagam Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarksho arishthanemihi Swasti no brihaspatir dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Okay, so nearly after 5 weeks, we are resuming this Mundakopanishad. Personally, I don't think this kind of a break is a good idea. I don't know why. I had a spate of travel, and many of these travel turned out to be on Saturday, Sunday, etc. So I could not really find a way to continue the class. Anyway, actually we are at almost the fag end of the Upanishad, and I wish we don't cancel classes like this. Let me really find a way to. All that we need is another 3 sessions to finish, I think, Mundakopanishad. We are already 4 mantras are over, 6 more mantras, I think. Anyway, so since we are meeting nearly after 5 weeks, it would be highly desirable to a little bit catch up with what we have been doing, because I'm sure we may have a bit of a discontinuity. So let me take about 5 minutes to quickly roll back and capture what we have done so far, so that we can move on. As we know, there are 3 mundakas in Mundakopanishad, and each mundaka has 2 kandas. So in all, there are 6 sections, 3 chapters, each chapter having 2 sections. We started with the first chapter, and in the first section of the first chapter, it's all about Shaunakaha, Mahashalaha, Vidivat Upasana Angirasam, Papracha, Kasmin Vijnate, Sarvamitam Vijnatam iti. So he asked, tell me what is to be known. By knowing it, I'll be known of everything. And then Shaunaka very quickly was answered. Angiras gave him an answer. Para and Apara. There is Para Vidya and Apara Vidya and so on. And all the Veda, Upanishad, Dharma Shastras, everything he put under Apara Vidya. And he said all these are Apara Vidya, but there is something called Para Vidya also. And the first section ended with a quick recounting of the creation process. The second section of the first chapter of the Prathama Mundaka is entirely devoted to what happens when somebody pursues the path of karma, karma kanda. So it talked about different types of flames, how the ahuti must be offered while in the middle of the flames, etc., etc., all that. It also, I wouldn't call it as a warning, but I would say as a sense of alertness. The Upanishad says Karma Kanda requires very tight specs, and one needs to very diligently follow it. In case if we take it little casually and sort of violate, ignore steps, violate the rules, etc., the consequence may not be very good. So while there are benefits of karma, provided it is done with a great sense of diligence and care and so on, but there are also limitations. So the 11th mantra in the second section is a very, very important mantra. I am sure you would remember, which is very nicely, it says, how after looking at all the effects of karma, the Upanishad finally comes and says, Pariksha, the 12th mantra, Pariksha lokan karma chitan brahmano nirvedamayan nastya kritaha kritena tat vijnanartam saha gurumeva bigachet samita panihi shrotriyam brahmanishtam. Having examined all these pros and cons of karma kanda and coming to a firm conclusion after deep introspection and analysis, etc., etc., that is the meaning of the word Pariksha lokan. We saw a very beautiful commentary of that of Shankaracharya in his Bhashya. In fair amount of detail, he explained what is this Pariksha lokan? What did we examine? What did a true seeker really examine? So that is a very important mantra. With that, basically the first Mundaka gets over with a clear indication that it is important that we turn the attention towards jnana. So that is how the first Mundaka ends. So after the Pariksha Lokan, he goes to a Guru, and then Guru will give him Upadesha. So that is how the first book of Mundakopanishad ended. Then we had the second book or chapter or whatever you want to call, the Dvitiya Mundaka, which again had two sections. And in this Dvitiya Mundaka, there is basically the key teachings of the Upanishad in terms of the Jnana Sampadana is established here. So the Prathama Kanda of the Dvitiya Mundaka, that is the first section of the second chapter, very beautifully brought what one may call as Srishti Prakaranam. How this world of multiplicities originated from the Brahman only. If you may again recall, we had quite a few examples of furniture, carpenter, gold, so many things we brought. We even brought some axiomatic statements in terms of what happens about the Karya and the Karana, all those. Basically, if you may recall, one of the arguments that we are making is a Karya can be destroyed. A Karana can never be destroyed. You can demolish all furniture made of wood, but the wood remains. You can melt all ornaments made of gold, but the gold remains. So it is only the gold which shows up in different forms. So in some ways, the first section of the second chapter, in a way established through the Srishti Prakaranam, giving the detailed description of how everything originated from the Brahman, etc. It basically established Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, because Brahman is the Karana and Jagat is the Karya. So as we told, the Karya can be destroyed. When the Karya is destroyed, it goes back to Karana. When wooden furniture is demolished, the natural state goes to woodness. it returns back to the Karana. So the whole world must return back to Brahman, who is the originator. We talked about Upadana Karana, Nimitta Karana, the instrumental cause and the material cause, all that. These are all discussed in all Upanishads. Even in Taitya Upanishad, we saw it in some level of detail. So that is what the first section of the second chapter. Then the second section of the second chapter is basically talks about how do you reach the Brahman. And if you may recall, there is a third mantra, I think. Yeah, third mantra, very beautiful mantra, which says, Dhanur grihitva aupanishidam mahastram sharam hyupasi nishitam sandharita ayam yatad bhagavatena chetasa bhavagatena chetasa lakshyam tadevaksharam saumya viddhi. How do you focus on that ultimate truth, which must be the basis for our entire effort in the path of jnana? So it beautifully took there are two nice similes. One is this Dhanur Grihitva Upanishadam. If you remember, I even showed a very nice photograph in which there is a person with a arrow and a bow, and there is a Lakshya. The Lakshya is Brahman. The Dhanur Upanishad is the Dhanus, and the arrow is the individual who should go and reach the Brahman. We saw all that. That is one beautiful simile that you see in the third mantra. And in I think sixth or fifth mantra, there was another nice in the sixth mantra. There is another beautiful simile. Heart as the hub for realization. It says, Ara iva ratanabho samhata yatra nadyaha. So from heart is the region where we should locate and experience the Brahman. So that idea was talked about. And we also saw a very beautiful mantra which says, how tasmin dishte paravare, it says all our samshayaha, all that will vidyate hridaya gantihi, chidyante asya samshayaha, kshiyante cha asya karmani, tasmin drishte paravare. What will happen? Why do you make such an effort? And it says all our doubts and our confusions, everything will all evaporate. So the second chapter of Mundakopanishad contains the key teaching of that the Lakshya is Brahman, that Brahman is the only, Karana, everything else is Karya. And that is and there is a way to reach it, and there is a place to meditate for it. All those we saw in the second Mundaka. Then we moved on to the third Mundaka. The third Mundaka started with again a very beautiful mantra, which is a very famous mantra. Jau Suparna Sayuja Sakaya Samanam Vriksham Parishasva Jate. How this analogy of two birds in every one of us. There's one bird sitting at a higher plane, not consuming anything. And the second bird is started consuming the fruits, and as it got engaged in the process of consuming the fruits, it realized some days are good, some days are not good, etc., etc. Then after a while, this bird turned its attention towards the higher bird, which was just Ananyan Abhichakashiti, Anashnan Abhichakashiti. So it was not eating, it was just observing. So the higher bird is our Sakshi. It only provides the force, energy, everything for us to, deal with the world and the choice we make. So that's a nice analogy through which it said why it is important that we turn our attention inside, and how the Satyam, Jnanam and Tapas, all these are important, and the celebration of Satyam. It says, Satyameva Jayate Nandritam Satyasya Panta Vitate Devayanah. So that mantra, all those we saw. And this first chapter of the third Mundaka ended with an interesting mantra, and that mantra says that if you want to achieve, if you want to really, get to the ultimate, yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati vishuddha sattvaha kamayate yamscha kaman tam tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman tasmat atmagjam hi archayet bhuti kamah. So atmagjam chi hi archayet. You worship the jnanis, those who have known the themselves, the Atma, who have discovered the Atma in them. So that's how the third chapter ended. The first section of the third chapter ended, where it said, whatever you want to desire, you will get it if you can obtain the blessings of the jnanis. So the Upanishad ended there. It appeared like a sort of an abrupt ending, because this mantra was not connected to the previous 9 mantras in that chapter. Then we moved on to the last section, which is section 2 of chapter 3. What appeared as unrelated turned out to be a connection to the next mantra as the first mantra in the second section. Basically, where it said that it all depends on what you want. The man of self-realization will bless you with whatever you want. If you are interested in worldly things, materialistic pursuits, you will get it. On the other hand, if you are interested in liberation, that also you will get it. So that's how the connection happened. And we saw the first 4 mantras. So the first 2 mantras talked about how jnanis will bless us, and it's up to us to seek the right kind of a blessing. Then mantra 3 and 4, there were some sadhanas suggested for us to really realize, nayamatma pravachanena labhyah na medayana bahuna shrutena. It's not about hearing. It is not listening or even lecturing, etc., etc. It says, yemeva esha runite tena labhyah tasya eshaha atma vivrunite tanum swam. We need to seek that Atman. Only by that genuine desire of seeking the Atman, which is part of us, that we will get it. So that was the third mantra, which we saw last time when we met. And the fourth mantra that we saw last time was Nayamatma Balahinena Labhyah Nachapramada Tapaso Vapyalingat. So it says, Yetehi Upayehi Etate Yastu Vidwan Tasya Yeshaha Atma Vishate Brahmadame. So it gave all that things that we should do and things that we should not do. So Nayamatma Balahinena Labhyah, which means with a weak effort and weak vitality, you don't get. So by putting 2 negative, basically what it is saying is you have to put the right vitality and right efforts into the act. So like that, it gave some additional ideas to us in terms of what are some of the things that we need to take care in this journey, so that realization of the Brahman is something which may be possible for us. So those up to that we have seen. So we will continue from this and look at the next 2 mantras, mantra 5 and 6 in the last section of Mundakopanishad. So mantra 5, Samprapyena mrishayo jnana triptaha kritatmano vitaraga prashantaha te sarvagam sarvata prapya dhiraha yuktatmana sarvameva vishanti. Let me do a padacheda. Samprapya enam rishayah. All the 3 are in the first word. Samprapyena rishayo. There are 3 words there. Samprapya enam rishayah. Jnana triptaha kritatmanah Vitaragaha prashantaha te sarvagam sarvataha prapya dhiraha yuktatmanaha sarvam eva avishanti. The last word also, there are three words there. Sarvam eva avishanti. Sarvam eva vishanti. So that's how it is. So let us, so there are many things told here. So let us very quickly see that. Samprapya, samyak prapya, having attained. Enam. Enam is, it is a discussion about the Brahman throughout the second chapter and the third chapter. So Enam points to that ultimate Brahman, which should be our Lakshya, which is our Lakshyartha. So therefore, Samprapya Enam, having attained the Atman or the Brahman, Rishayaha, the Rishis, and there are so many attributes of these Rishis which you find in these shlokas. So what are those? Jnana Triptaha. They are satisfied with the kind of knowledge, with the kind of jnanam that they have got. Remember, in the first chapter of Mundakopanishad, what was the question? Kasmin vijñāte sarvamitam vijñātam bhavati. By knowing that, how can I be known of everything? So by knowing that, which is the Brahman, they become Jnana Triptaha. So the answer is here in some ways. Jnana Triptaha, they have Tripti. That knowledge which gave them Santripti. See what happens, many of the worldly knowledge that we have doesn't give us that sense of perfection. It only induces more effort, more to find, more feeling that there is still something missing for me. So we have to get that jnanam. After that, there is no more asking. There is no more need for asking. The whole thing comes to a grinding halt because there is nothing more to know. That experience one gets. There is not even an iota of doubt. So such people who have attained that knowledge are called Jnana Triptaha. Jnana Triptaha. Kritatmanaha. So whatever needs to be achieved, they have achieved everything. There is no this chikirsha. There is no this desire, I have to do more of this, I have to become more perfect here, I have to achieve X, Y, Z, these are remaining chores that I have to complete. That feeling also goes out of them. Kritatmana. They are fully satisfied. There are no more things that they need to do. So that kind of a state, Kritatmana. Vitaragaha. So Vita is gone, Ragaha. Here Ragaha, since it is in plural, talk about those people who have reached that. But when you say Ragaha, it is not just Raga, it is Ragadi, Raga, Dvesha, Mada, Masarya, Loba, Krodha, all that. So this all has gone out of them. Why? Because all these come to an individual when there is that state of imperfection. There is this feeling that there is something more that I need to do. What I have done is not enough. Only then there is this sense of competition, there is this feeling of jealousy, there is this evaluation vis-a-vis somebody else. So he is better than me. For the same effort, he has got more than what I have got. See, we have all these tendencies in our mind. We don't even have to express it out. I don't even mean that we should express it out. But as long as those feelings are in our mind, it is an indication that we are still searching for the perfection. So on the contrary, if somebody who has attained that state of perfection, all these will evaporate. There is no sense of competition. There is no jealousy. There is no the pressure of achieving or attaining, etc., etc. So that's why Vitaragaha. And because they are Vitaragaha, they become Prashantaha. The mind really settles. This distractions of the mind, which comes because of this kama krodadi shadripuhu, because of the so many tensions that keep bothering us in our life. Since they are all gone because of the state of vitaragaha, they become prashantaha. They have become very settled. They become very settled in their mind. That peaceful coexistence. They find peace and tranquility within. As in this feeling of mental chattering, mental disturbances, all those evaporate and get obliterated. Therefore, prashantaha. So, in the first line, so many are there. Jnana tripta rishayaha, jnana triptaha, kritatmanaha, vitaragaha, prashantaha. Such people, yenam samprapya. Such people only get him, get that ultimate Brahman. So, that is what is indicated in the first line. Te, such people, sarvagam, sarvagam. The ga means go. Gam gachati, in that meaning. So, sarvagam means it goes everywhere, which means it is omnipresent. That which is omnipresent. Sarvataha, from everywhere. They find, they prapya, they get that padartha. They get to realize that thing which is omnipresent, which is available everywhere, which is nothing but Brahman. Right? So, sarvagam sarvataha prapya, te dhiraha. Dhiraha are those who use their buddhi properly, because the definition of buddhi is nischayat atma buddhi, nischayat atmakaha buddhi. It helps us to resolve one way or the other. That it is that program which resolves the questions that we have in our mind. So therefore, dhiras are those who are able to resolve it properly. What it means is, they have developed such a clarity of thought on what is nitya and what is anitya. See, what is to be resolved is only that. In life, so many challenging dilemmas that we have, and we really have confusions how to take decisions, etc., etc. But the fact of the matter is, what it requires is resolving our ability to segregate what is perishable and what is permanent. I mean, this may appear like a very small and a simple statement, but we must understand that this is a very serious thing. So, dhiraha are those who have that nitya vastu viveka. That is the viveka, vastu vichara. Nitya anitya vastu vichara. That property is called viveka. So, they are vivekinaha. They have. So, one more attribute of the person is available in the second line. Yukta atmana, they are connected to them, their own atman. Yuktaha atmanena, atmanaha yuktaha. So, they are always connected to their quintessential nature. Yukta atmanaha, sarvam eva avishanti. They actually end up entering into that Brahman. They become one with Brahman. So, avishanti, they enter. Sarvameva, meaning, that which is, which makes the everything, that which makes the whole, reality that we have. So, sarvameva avishanti. So, that is what it is. Very quickly, we will see some interesting commentaries on Shankara Bhashya. Jnana triptaha. For example, there is a word jnana triptaha. So what does Shankaracharya says? Jnanena triptaha. That is understood. But what kind of a jnana? Na bhahyena tripti sadhanena. Not something which comes from outside and gives us a certain kind of tripti. Because anything which comes from outside and gives you tripti, that will be very temporary. That which is with us forever, that which comes from within is permanent. That which comes from outside is very temporary. You get praise, you get a happy feeling because somebody said something. You feel very elated because somebody gave you an award, or somebody gave you an increment in your salary, somebody said you are good. All these are coming from outside. All those are not permanent. That's why he says, those kind of jnana, those kind of what you acquire. See, anything which comes from outside is what you acquire. So our science, our management, our chemistry, our mathematics, calculus, they are all acquired from outside. So if the buddhi goes, they will all become nashta. Whereas what you acquire from within remains with us. The linga sarira carries it in the form of vasanas and samskaras and so on. That's why jnanena triptaha, Shankaracharya says, na bahyena tripti sadhanena sharira upachaya karanena. It is not something to do with this deha, iha, and making you feel good, making you better, etc., etc. Not those kind of jnana. The jnana that comes from outside is not the jnana that will give you tripti. That's what he clarifies there. Then kritatmanaha, nishpannatmanaha santaha. They are completely satisfied and they are very settled. Now, what does it mean? Avidya kalpita atmaswarupa apanayanena. See, this avidya presents a certain reality about each one of us. What is Atman? What is reality? Who am I? What is important to me in life? All those are wrongly mapped and informed to us by avidya. That's why avidya kalpita atmaswarupa apanayanena. Apanayana means duri kritena. By removing all of them away, swena nitya siddhena, that which comes on one's own experience, one's own intense experience. Pararupena nishpaditatmanah. So that settled mind, and how that mind become very settled and composed? By removing all artificial understanding of who am I, what am I made of, what is important to me, and all that. When all those are removed by an internal understanding and deep contemplation of all these reality, the ultimate reality, that is called kritatmanah. Then comes the word sarvagam. Sarvagamna, that which goes everywhere. So sarva vyapinam, akashavat. See, the akasha is everywhere. That is a typical example in Gita. Also, you'll find this example. Vayum sarvatra gomahan. There is one shloka like that you will find in Gita. So sarvagam is sarva vyapinam, like akashavat. Sarvataha. Sarvataha means sarvatra prapya. It is available everywhere, not just in your body. Naha upadi parichinnena ekadeshena. By removing these forms and shapes and upadhi dharmas, see, you remove all these walls, then this limited idea of this house actually becomes an unlimited reality called akasha. Correct? Ekadeshena, it becomes one. So in the same way, what we realize is that sense of oneness, not the Bheda Bhava, but that Aikya Bhava, that Brahma Bhava. So that is called Sarvata Prapya Na Upadi Parichinnena, Naha Upadi Parichinnena Ekadeshena. By removing our Upadi Dharmas, we transgressing the limits of this body and these limited forms and shapes, etc., etc. Once we transgress that and move away from that, then it becomes available. Dhiraha, as I told you, vivekinaha, atyanta vivekinaha. Nitya anitya vastu vichare tesham mahan samartyam vartate iti dhiraha, atyanta vivekinaha. Yuktatmanaha, nitya samahita swabhavaha. They reside, forever with themselves. They don't lose themselves. Sometimes we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves and end up doing things which is not our nature. Whereas when you say Yuktatmanaha, you are always connected to your quintessential nature. So you are gathered to yourself, to your original identity. This way, Nitya Samahita Swabhavaha. So he says, after saying all these, he says, Binne Gate Gatakashavat. Just like if you break a pot, the Upadhi Dharma is gone. Moment you break a pot, what happens? It becomes, the space becomes unlimited. Gada Akashavat. Avidya Krita Upadhi Parichedam Jahati. So this Upadhi Dharma, which makes forms and shapes, it gives a name, it gives a date of birth, it gives a complexion, it gives a age, it gives a nationality, it gives a sex, etc., etc. When you are able to tear down all these, then only you are able to see yourself as that unlimited source which is available. So he gives that example. Binne Gate Gata Akashavat. Avidya Krita Upadhi Parichedam Jagati. All these upadhis are taken out of our, we are not chopping off our head or hand or leg or anything like that. It doesn't map into the mind. That mental model changes. So therefore, we understand it very differently. So that is what Shankaracharya gives. Swami Paramarthananda, what he did, he took all these, there are so many, words here. For example, Dhiraha, Yuktatmanaha, Jnanatriptaha, Kritatmanaha, Vitaragaha, Prashantaha. So there are so many things indicated here. Swami Paramarthananda, what he did was, he put it in a particular order. So I will just show you that order. So according to him, this is the order in which we will actually get it. He says you should be Dhiraha first. You should create that Nitya Nitya Vastu Vichara Samarthyam. Then because of that, you become Vitaragaha. Because we know that what is permanent and what is temporary. So we don't lose our sleep, lose our emotions, lose our peace of mind on account of perishable things. So we become Vitaragaha. And moment we become Vitaragaha, we become Prashantaha. The mind really settles. And because of that, we stay to ourselves rather than losing ourselves. So Yuktatmanaha. Then such people become Rishayaha, Rishis, because they are able to think very well. So they are able to focus in a very controlled fashion because of all these capabilities that they have acquired for themselves. Yenam samprapya, they really obtain the Brahman. That experience of Brahman happens within, as it is indicated in the second chapter of Mundakopanishad. After they having got him, what happens? They become Kritatmanaha. They have nothing else to achieve. And then Jnanatriptaha. See, Kritatmanaha, you should contrast it with that 12th mantra in the first chapter, second section. Parikshe lokan karma chitan. Brahmano nirvedamayan nastya krita kritena. There it said nastya krita kritena. By doing work more and more, I don't know what am I going to get. Here he is saying Kritatmanaha. You are settled. No more work to do. With a desire. I mean, you may still be part of the world and do what needs to be done, but that mental state becomes Kritatmanaha, and they also become Jnanatriptaha. Therefore, Sarvagam Prapya Sarvameva Avishanti. So he put it in a particular order. This so basically what you see is Sadhana Satushtaya Sampatti is being indicated here. Nitya Nitya Vastu Vichara Iha Amutra Pala Bhoga Viragaha Shamadamadi Shat Sampat Mumukshutva, all those, they are all part of this first four that we are talking about. So that is what this mantra is reminding us. Go to the next mantra, which is the sixth mantra. This is a very famous mantra. Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitartaha Sannyasa Yogat Yate Shuddha Sattvaha Te Brahmalokeshu Parantakale Paramritaha Parimuchyanti Sarve. See, when we invite some great acharyas, rishis, or Santa Jana's home with the Purna Kumbha and all that, there are certain mantras which are always recited when we invite them and receive them at home. This is one of the mantra. Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitartha Sanyasa Yoga Dhyataya Shuddha Sattva Aha Te Brahma Lokeshu Para Antakale Paramrita Parimuchyanti Sarve Dahram Vipapam, like that it goes. The next mantra. So, Yo Vedado Swara Prokta Vedante Cha Pratishtitaha Tasya Prakritilina Se Parasamheshwara. There are three mantras. These three mantras are always recited when we receive some Santa Jana, some our Acharya, our Guru, etc., etc. This is one of those mantras. This is often recited. Next mantra is Dakhram Vipapam Parame Swabhutam Yat Pundarikam Puramase Saggastam. Like that, there's the next mantra. Then Yoveda Dosar Prokto is the last mantra. So what does it say? Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitartaha. It's a single word. Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitartaha Sanyasa Yogat Yatayaha Shuddha Sattvaha Te Brahmalokeshu Parantakale Paramritaha Parimuchyanti Sarve. So the Upanishad is actually telling where will they actually reach after all the effort that has been indicated, the kind of tapas, satyam, jnanam, being a dhira, kritatmanaha, yuktatmanaha, prashanta, eksavitaragaha, all that we have said. After all these effort, what happens to this person? That is indicated here. It says Vedanta. So this is a samastapada. There are three words which are added to make a single word. Vedantasya vijnanaha, Vedanta vijnanaha. So that is the first samasa. Vedanta vijnanena sunischitaha, Vedanta vijnana sunischitaha. That is the next samasa. After that, Vedanta Vijnana Sunischita Arthaha, that is, I think, Karmadharya. So that makes it the single word. Vedanta Vijnana Sunischita. That Vijnana which comes out of Vedanta, and out of that, not Jnana, please note here, it says Vijnana. It never said Vedanta Jnana Sunischita. It says Vedanta Vijnana Sunischita. Vijnana is the realization of the ideas which are laid out in Vedanta. It is not reading and understanding. That is a, Bahya Vyapara. We are talking about Antar Vyapara. That which should happen within. That we should become through Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. That constant churning of that should give us that Navanita. We are talking about that distilled knowledge which comes out of repeated contemplation of these mantras, trying to understand it, trying to experience it in our own ways in our lives. That is the Vedanta Vijnana. And that Vedanta Vijnanat Sunischitartaha. See, there are three very nice words here. Artaha, Artaha is meaning. Nischita Artaha, firmly established meaning. That is Nischita Artaha. Then there is a Su also. Su means well. There is one more adjective there, which means it is well understood, firmly established, with a deep conviction. We have come to a conclusion, this is what it is. That realization that happens to that individual. And without an iota of doubt, there is no second opinion there. There is no, I think this is correct, that kind of a thing. This is a realized sort of a final conclusion that individual comes to. That is what this Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitartaha. Now, how does one get that? How does we get that Navanita? What is this churning process? And that is what it says. Sannyasa yogat yatayaha shuddha sattvaha. The shuddha sattvas, the purified mind. Why their mind becomes purified? Because vitaragaha karmaha chitta siddhyate. Chittasya suddhaye karmaha na vastu upalabhyate. Vastu siddhi vicharena na kinchit karma kotibihi. So, with a very good understanding of karma yoga, by engaging in this world of action, our mind becomes very purified. We are not very involved into the pluses and minuses of the outcomes of the work. We know we are part of the society. We need to do the work. It is our duty. We have to contribute. We have to give before we take. All those ideas are part of karma yoga. And because of that kind of an approach to life, they become shuddha sattvaha. They become a purified mind. They are sattva, shuddha sattvas. Sattvic mind, which is very pure. And because with that kind of a background, with that kind of a capability, they become yatayaha. They make effort. That's why they are called yati. Constantly make an effort to understand the Brahman. Understand that ultimate truth. That ultimate truth may be written in books, may be explained by someone, may be annotated with some stories, etc., etc. But we have to do the effort. Finally, I have to realize it. And the realization is not memorizing those mantras and their meaning, thoroughly knowing their meaning. No. It is discovering that within. It is finding that somehow within. That all that is being told is actually in a way true. That it is something which really makes sense to one out of experience. That's why they are called yatis. They constantly test it out. The world is the playground for them. They constantly test it out and gather that knowledge deeply in them. So that is the yatayaha. Sannyasa yogat, giving up the fruits of action, not giving up work. It is not karma sannyasa. It is karma phala sannyasa. Bhagavad Gita is very categorically clear on that. When you say sannyasa, it is not giving up all the work. No, sannyasi gives up work. The true sannyasi gives up the karma phala. They keep doing work. Something happens, they are part of the society. So that sannyasa yogat, which means that karma has no more effect on me, although I may be engaged in all kinds of duties, which is ordained because of me being part of the world and so on. So sannyasa yogat yatayaha shuddha sattvaha Vedanta. So such people are able to test out that Vedanta jnana in their own life experiences. Therefore, that become Vedanta Vijnanam for this. And because of that Vedanta Vijnana, they become Sunishchitartaha. They are beyond doubt. They have reached a finality of understanding. There are no ifs and buts, there are no omitted portions, or there are no confusions. All those are gone. Because they have really internalized the ideas in all these Shruti. So, Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartaha, such people, through sannyasa yoga and become a Shuddha Sattva, and they make a lot of effort. What happens to them? Te Brahmalokeshu Parantakale Paramritaha Parimuchyanti Sarve. Parantakale, beyond the Antakala. After, dropping the body. So in a way, it is some kind of a sort of a Videha Mukti kind of a thing is what is indicated here. Parantakale, they become Paramritaha. They become the ultimate Amritaha, Paramritaha. They attain that ultimate immortality. Brahmalokeshu Muchyanti sarve, te sarve, such people, all such people, parimuchyanti. See, mucyanti gets liberated. Moksha. From moksha only much is coming. So mucyanti is they get liberated, right? Parimucyanti. See, this word pari is upasarga. Pari actually means all around. Whenever you want to indicate, nowadays they say 360 degree, no? So they say 360 degree feedback, which means they want feedback from everyone, from the boss, from the subordinate, from the peer, from the, service provider who deals with them, whatever. So that is called pari. Pari is from all possible ways. So here parimucyanti means they get liberated. I've written fully liberated here. Basically, they get liberated from all possible things. There is no more point of returning. That punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, that process comes to an abrupt end. So that is what is being indicated here. Te brahmalokeshu parantakale, because of all these effort that they have put, and having firmly established that sense of understanding through experience, sunischitartaha, Vedanta Vijnana sunischitartaha, what happens is they become paramritaha. They become, ultimately they become immortal, and te sarve parimucyanti. So they get liberated, and brahmalokeshu, they go to the brahmaloka. So in a way, all these effort that is being talked about in the second Mundaka of this Upanishad, all the different methods, ways of doing it, where to contemplate the Brahman on, all of them, the point is, where will it lead us? That is what it is saying. Parantakale parimritaha parimucyanti sarve. So that is what the Upanishad says here. We will see a few words, how Shankara's interpretation comes. So there is this Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitam, firmly established out of the Vedanta Vijnana. That is the first word. So what is the interpretation of that? It says samshaya viparyaya rahitatvam. Vihita is along with, rahita is without. So there is no more doubt. There is no more different way of understanding. There is no viparyaya and there is no samshaya. There is no wrong understanding, or there is no incomplete understanding of ideas. Rahitatvam. That is the lakshana of this Vedanta Vijnana. It liberates you beyond all possible doubts. That's why it said in one of the mantras, chiyante asya karmani, all that we said, no? Tasmin drishte paravare. All the samshayas will go. That's what he says. Vidyante grantani. All that we said. So, samshaya viparyaya rahitatvam. Etadrisha, like this, sunischaya pradattameva Vedanta Vijnanasya Vijnanatam. This is the lakshana of Vedanta Vijnana. Compared to other Vijnanas, this is the very lakshana of Vedanta Vijnana, because it removes everything. Once and for all, it removes everything. Anubhava Paryanta Visesha Jnanatvam. It comes through deep experience. Therefore, it evaporates every iota of doubt in us. Then comes the word Parantakala. See, Antakala means the terminal stage, the last stages of one's Janma. Now, for a samsari, meaning people who are into the circle of birth and death, this Antakala is not Parantakala, it is Aparantakala, because they will again come. This Antakala can happen any number of times. It is only at one Janma there is an Antakala. Here, the word used is Parantakala. Why? Because, look at here, Mumukshunam samsara avasane. Avasane means gap, means break. So samsara, the break in samsara, which means the janma comes to an end. So by parantakala, what is indicated is mukshunam samsara avasane deha parityaga kalaha, time for giving up the body once and for all. Whereas samsari maranakala apekshaya mumukshunam maranakalaha parantakalaha. Why? Because samsari, this is not ultimate. He will come again. Whereas for mumukshu, he won't come again. That's why this maranakala is actually parantakala. It's ultimate. Jnana drishtiya tu sarvada tasya asharirattvameve eva iti naiva asti antakalaha. So therefore, the mumukshu, for the mumukshu, because of the jnana drishti, he becomes ashariratva, no more sharira. Shariratva to over, because they will liberate. And that is why na eva asti antakala. So there is nothing like antakala, it becomes parantakala. So that's why the word parantakala is being used here. Then parimuchyanti. Pari, samantat. Samantat means completely, sarvatra. Pradeepa nirvanavat. Just like you put off the lamp, you nirvapanam, they say. Once you put off, the flame will not come the second time, right? That's the end of it. Once you put off the, if you have a lamp, and then generally what do they do? Ladies, in the night, before they close the kitchen and the puja room, if the deepa is there, they actually do some naivedya and then stop. Once you put it off, the flame is gone. There's no way the flame is going to come again. So that kind of an example he gives. Pradeepa nirvanavat atava binna gada akashavacha. Just like you break the pot. Once you break the pot, the entire space opens up. The pot is gone. There is no more pot. The nivritti that you get is permanent, not temporary. So Shankaracharya gives two examples. One is like putting off the light of a flame of a lamp, or breaking a pot, so that once and for all the whole thing is gone. Nivrittim upayanti muchyante na deshantaram gantavyam apekshante. They don't want to get into again desha, kala, etc., etc. They want to go beyond that. And he gives finally one example. He says, Shakuninam iva akashe jale vari charasya cha. Just like the birds, when they fly or they go through the water and things like that, they don't leave any footprint. There is absolutely no footprint. The Shakuni is actually the birds. Just like the birds, when they are in the akasha or in the jala, they don't leave any footprint. It's all dissolved and gone. So he gives these kinds of examples to say that all these effort finally leads this individual to parantakala. He really gets the moksha once and for all, and therefore this whole effort is worth the effort. So the Upanishad in a way suggests that it may be difficult, but then compared to the Karmakanda, where it is also difficult because of the high levels of diligence that you need to exhibit there. That's what we saw it in the first chapter, second section. Karmakanda is equally difficult, but then even after all that, the benefits we get are finite in a Karmakanda. You have to, after the loyalty points are over, after the good karma is over, one has to get back here and then continue their journey. Therefore, compared to that, putting that effort in a Jnana Kanda will be better. That is what the Upanishad is implicitly saying. It is not saying explicitly anywhere, but we are able to infer that. And it finally says in this mantra that such a person actually goes without a trace, goes into Brahmaloka. So with that, we will close today's session with this mantra 5 and 6, and we will continue this Sunday. I'll close here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shubharatrihi.